Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Swarzy, and if you've just jumped in, then welcome to My Life, My Say's quarantine question time. Grab your drinks, grab your snacks. This is going to be a really good conversation, and bring your questions. We're going to kick things off in about a minute or so, giving people time to join. If you've just joined now, welcome to My Life, My Say's quarantine question time with a very special guest. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Swarzy, and welcome to Quarantine Question Time, hosted by My Life, My Say, a digital space for young people to receive expert advice on issues that impact young people. This event is held in partnership with UK Youth and #IWill campaign. We also have received support for the National Deaf Children's Society to make this Quarantine Question Time even more accessible. And of course, you can have the captions, and Mark, who's joined us as well, as you can see, our BSO interpreter joining us this evening. We are really pleased, they say, to have live subtitles available for today's quarantine question time. If you would like to access them, just click on closed captions, which is usually at the bottom of your screen. A big welcome to Mark. Shouts goes out to my guy Mark, our British Sign Language interpreter. If you are using Mark, we suggest you use the pin function just to make sure he is always visible on your screen all the way through the evening. For those of you who are joining us, welcome. My name is Swarzy. You have just logged into Quarantine Question Time. This show takes place every Thursday from 6:30 p.m, hosted by My Life, My Say. So follow us on the socials. We're always at My Life, My Say on Twitter, and be part of the conversation by using the hashtag Quarantine Question Time. We'll be following this hashtag for live questions and comments, because we need to hear your voices, young people. So jump into the conversation. It doesn't happen without you. So before we kick off today's event, I would like to invite Mete Coban, MBE, the CEO of My Life, My Say, just to say a few words about tonight's event.
Oh, great introduction, Swarzy, and thank you as ever for your brilliant sort of host of this show. Thank you to everyone for joining us for today's quarantine question time. This is a fantastic opportunity. You don't get the opportunity every day to question one of the most senior politicians and influential politicians in the country, and we're very delighted to be joined by Sir Keir Starmer, who's the leader of the Labour Party, and someone who personally, I know we've worked with him in the past with My Life, My Say, with hosting a Democracy Cafe, and he's very interested about the views of young people. Swarzy, we know that young people are going to be disproportionately affected by the coronavirus pandemic. It already exposed and amplifies a lot of inequalities in our society, and it's so important that our generation have a voice in shaping and building back our society better. That's why these conversations are really important, because someone like Keir can make a real big difference to how we shape policy and how we can shape our lives for the future of our country. We've already seen how young people were disproportionately affected by the financial crisis. Last week, you would have seen that the UK's national debt is now more than 100% of its GDP. God knows what the next 10-15 years look like for our generation. So it's so important that we're engaging with people like Keir. So Keir, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to be the one who's no one wants to see me talk, they come here for you. But thank you so much, we really value your time, and I'm going to leave you with Swarzy, and hopefully you will have a great event.
Thank you, Mete. Thank you so much. So yeah, if you've just joined, welcome. My name is Swarzy. You have logged into Quarantine Question Time, hosted by My Life, My Say. And Sir Keir, if we were in person, I'd be giving you a drum roll right now, right? I'd be on a microphone running around the stage at the moment. So with a drum roll in the background, this week we are joined by the leader of the Labour Party, Sir Keir Starmer. Sir Keir Starmer was elected as the leader of the Labour Party in April 2020. Before entering Parliament, Sir Keir was a defence barrister specialising in human rights, trade union and environmental cases. In 2008, Keir was named as the Director of Public Prosecutions for the Crown Prosecution Services, making him head of a public body with thousands of employees and responsible for carrying out prosecutions on behalf of the British people. Sir Keir Starmer joins us today to discuss the latest on the coronavirus in the UK, his journey into politics, and will provide us with an exclusive perspective on what the future will look like for young people. That is my drum roll. Sir Keir Starmer is in the building. Hello, how are you?
Swarzy, look, thank you so much for that introduction and for the virtual drum roll. It was really good, a double drum roll. And it's great to be doing something with My Life, My Say again, which is such a fantastic organisation. And Mete and I were talking earlier about other events we did together in the world when we were allowed to meet rather than just be on screens together. So I'm really, really pleased to be doing this evening. And I'm definitely in listening mode. I want to hear what people have got to say, because we often say, what do young people think? And then older people tell us what younger people think. The best way to know what young people think is to actually let them do the talking. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm sure there's going to be interesting questions, interesting points being made to me. We are obviously in the middle of this coronavirus. And so I suppose the first thing I want to say to everybody online is I hope you're safe and I hope you're well. Because, whatever our politics, whatever our age, everybody is anxious about what's going on, really worried about themselves, their family, their communities, their friends, and making sure they're okay and haven't got the virus. And of course, there's the economic side of it as well. Lots of people, particularly young people, really worried about what's going to happen next for the economy, and young people, almost certainly on, more fragile contracts without the security at work. And so this is a really, really difficult time. So I do hope everybody's safe and well. I don't think this government has treated young people well, quite frankly, before we started the coronavirus pandemic. And we cannot allow this government or any other government to come out of this without righting some of the wrongs in relation to young people. So, the coronavirus is a dreadful thing. But if it gives us the chance to reevaluate what really matters, and to change the way we do things and to right some of the wrongs that have been there for a very long time, then I think we should take that chance. And I think there's a sense across the country that we haven't really got our values right, and we've underpaid and undervalued lots of people, and we need to change that as we come out of this. Because young people, youth services have been slashed, work isn't what it should be. Lots of people have got escalating debt, housing, roof over your head, renting is really, really difficult as a young person. And all of that has been made a lot worse by coronavirus. And I know that it's a big part of the Labour project to be the voice of young people, to have young people as the voice of Labour, because I don't want a Labour Party that just says things about young people. I want a Labour Party that's got young people in it saying what they think.
That's really, super encouraging actually, when you say that you want young people's voices heard. And loads of times young people feel as though older people than us are saying what we think, and that, so given the platform, that's really, really encouraging. And so if you've logged on this evening, and there's thousands of people who actually have logged on tonight, let me give you a drum roll also of some of the ground rules tonight. So you've got some of the functions at the bottom of your screen on Zoom, one of them being raise your hand. Throughout the event, you have the opportunity to make your own comments or ask your own questions to the panelists. So please do that, use the raise your hand function. I'll ask you to speak, and then you can come onto the call. We'd love to see and hear from you. If you prefer not to speak, that's absolutely fine. There's also a function called Q&A. So if you prefer to write your question, submit that question in, we'll pick it up in the Q&A and also get that part of the conversation. And to kick things off, we've got a live poll as ever with Quarantine Question Time. So will we be practicing democracy in action by giving you the opportunity to vote, young people, all throughout this event. So there should be a pop-up coming on your screen very soon. And this is our question of the evening. What worries you most about COVID-19? This should be on your screen at the moment. And there's 8 different options. So for all young people, what do you think will be the number one pick? Will it be our economy, job security, the strain on the NHS, the health of family and friends, mental health, education, or race inequality? If there was going to be one thing that young people would vote for, we need to hear your voice. Perhaps quickly before we get into some of these questions, Keir, it'd be lovely to know what you think before the results come in. What do you think will be the number one thing that worries young people most about COVID-19?
I think it could well be mental health. I think this is the hidden concern in COVID-19. I've done a lot of stuff on loneliness in the last couple of weeks, and I know that mental health, the whole anxiety coupled with being in, not being able to see people, etc. So I don't know, do we get results in before the end of the session?
Yeah, we do.
I think it might well be mental health. So let's see. I'd be very interested to see. I mean, there's a lot of things there people can choose from.
Yeah, amazing. So if you're logged in right now and you can see the poll that's up, you've got a couple minutes to vote. Let us know what you think will be the #1 worry for young people, as you are, for COVID-19. Amazing. We've got so many people with so many brilliant questions. So I'm going to kick things off and just open up really by saying in 2008, Keir, you were named as the Director of Public Prosecutions. And I've heard that is a pretty big role, right? So I want to know, what was it like being responsible for carrying out prosecutions on behalf of the British people?
Well, it was an amazing thing because I had 8,000 or 9,000 staff across England and Wales who were doing the job with me, which was fantastic. We were working with the police and others to, bring people to trial, criminal trial, and it was a complete range of things. So, you had, we had a massive terrorist case. There was a plot, people may remember it, to try to blow up 7 planes at the same time as they were in the sky across the Atlantic.
Wow.
That was one of our biggest cases, and obviously took a lot of time. We had really interesting other cases. So people remember Stephen Lawrence, who was brutally murdered because of his race, and it took years until we could bring a prosecution there. And with Doreen Lawrence, who now works with me, we're able to bring that case. And then at the other end of the scale, you had lots of stuff about social media and what people were posting and whether they'd gone too far, and really interesting patterns there. I remember profoundly, loads, and everybody knows this, loads and loads of stuff was posted on social media about 8 or 9 in the evening on a Friday or Saturday, and then got really bad about midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then, interestingly, when people sort of woke up and sobered up, a lot of it came back down again. So really interesting stuff across a range of criminal offences, and really good staff working with me on that. We actually had a lot of stuff on young people, because young people as victims in criminal justice weren't finding it easy to get into the system if they were bullied or sexual assaults. Right. Did they really want to report it? Did they want to go and tell the police? It's actually very difficult. Yeah. And so we made quite a lot of adjustments for young people, either who are victims or young people who were defendants, because, things are very different. We tend to think of, in the criminal justice system, of people under 18 as young people. Actually, I think it should be under 25. Because there are a range of things for people under 25s that need to be accommodated in the criminal justice system. So it was a really interesting time.
I mean, even just hearing, even just patches of the stories that you've just shared, and one thing that really encouraged me about what you share is so much around justice and the justice system, and even the conversation around justice is not separate when we're talking about COVID-19. And so I really want to ask you quickly, I suppose, what motivated you then to switch from law to politics?
Well, I've always done quite a lot of politics in my law. So before I was Director of Public Prosecutions, as you say, I was a human rights lawyer doing human rights cases across the world. And that meant I was fighting the death penalty in Jamaica and Trinidad and Uganda and places. And therefore I was trying to use my politics in the legal profession. But in the end, I decided that if you really want to change things, you can only do that by being a politician, which is why in 2015, just 5 years ago, it seems like a long time ago, I decided to stand for the Labour Party as the MP in Holborn St Pancras, which is basically Camden, and come into Parliament, which is where I've been ever since. And so much has happened since then. When I joined Parliament, David Cameron was the Prime Minister. Brexit was a word nobody had heard of. COVID-19 would have been a sci-fi movie. And then we've been through Cameron, Theresa May, now Boris Johnson. We've had 3 elections. Somebody's packed a lot into this first 5 years of mine.
Yeah, amazing. I'm going to kick things off next, and so we've got amazing people lined up to ask you lots of different questions, and I believe Sharon is up first, and Keir, we would love to hear your answers to so many of these. If we can try and get through these questions,
I'll try and keep them short. Yeah, Swarzy, if I'm on too long, you can cut me down.
You've given me permission now. Okay, yeah. Sharon, you're joining us. Thank you so much, Sharon. We'd love to hear your question.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, I'm Sharon Adebola, and I'm one of the young leaders at My Life, My Say. My question is, what made you want to run to be the leader of the Labour Party, and why do you think that you are the right leader?
Yeah, well, Sharon, very good questions. I strongly felt after the election that we, the Labour Party, lost in December, that we needed to unite our party. I could just see that the Labour Party, which has got 580,000 members, which is fantastic, by the way, was taking lumps out of each other, was divided, and that, you know, we'd just lost an election badly. We needed to pull together as a, you know, what I think could be an unstoppable political force if we stopped fighting each other. And so I wanted to run to be Labour leader, to try to bring the party together, to draw on all that energy. It doesn't mean everybody agreeing, but it means that we've got to be respectful about the way that we debate things and go forward. So that's what I was saying in my leadership campaign. In the end, the question wasn't whether I thought I was the right person to lead the Labour Party, it was for our members, because every single member had a vote. And we had to go out and fight for those votes for 3 months. And I was lucky because the two people against me, Rebecca Long-Bailey and Lisa Nandy, were really good. And we, throughout the campaign, we didn't take lumps out of each other. And I'm really pleased that I've got Becky and Lisa in my shadow cabinet. So in a way, the three of us went to our members to say, choose between us. But luckily, at the end of it, from my point of view, I won, but then was able to say to Becky and to Lisa, will you be part of the top team? And now they are, and obviously we've still got a huge amount to do. You know, you don't lose an election that badly without recognising you've got a mountain to climb. But you know, we're all working together now, and that's good. It's early days, and it's very odd. We started the campaign by running around the country trying to see as many people as possible. Ended up doing my acceptance speech in April, talking to a camera in my own front room with a sort of microphone. And a speaker, and that was the only company. So strange times.
Very strange.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. And of course, My Life Must Say is not just London-based conversations. We're trying to hear from young people all over the UK, and so it gives me great pleasure to welcome on Romilly. Romilly, hi.
Hi, Romilly.
Hi. So my question is, it feels like at times a London-centric approach is being taken in dealing with the pandemic. What is your view on the value of regional leadership and contributing to the recovery from the impact of the coronavirus?
Yeah, regional leadership is absolutely crucial because if you look at the pandemic and where the infection rates are high and where most of the damage is being done, it's not in London, it's actually in different regions. It's in the northeast, the northwest, and other places, and that's where the infection rate is still higher than it is in London. Now, therefore, there's a massive regional aspect. I think regional leaders are therefore really important, and I've been using the mayors, so Andy Burnham, and the local council leaders across the country in the northwest and northeast to help me with our response to this. So there's a massive regional element, Romilly. I think there's a bigger bit than that, which is there is too much power actually in London. And you know, I'm a great fan of London. I think it's a great city, but we need to make sure that there is much more power, resource, and influence in our regions. There's been a mismatch going on for a very, very long time. So the pandemic just makes it worse. But actually, it's something we need to grapple with, and I think it's one of the real priorities for any government. Certainly would if our Labour Party gets into government, which I hope it does in 4 years' time. Where are you, Romilly? Are you you're presumably out of London somewhere?
Yeah, I'm from the northeast.
Okay, yeah. We were hoping to be in the northeast. It was one of the places, and we went to Tees Valley, but we had to go virtually. This was about 2 weeks after I was elected. So we did a virtual meeting up there, but we hope to. I will be up in the northeast as soon as I can start travelling again.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much, Romilly. It's always good to have you part of the conversation, sis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, tonight we've had some really, really good support, and we're in partnership this evening with I Will Campaign. So it's an absolute joy to bring on Daniel next, who's got a question. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Swarzy. Hi, Keir. Thank you so much for coming on this evening. I'm now World Ambassador and also the Chief Exec of Youth Politics UK. So my question is, the pandemic risks creating a lost generation of young people struggling with disrupted education, mental health challenges and poor job prospects. What will Labour do in the short term to pressurise the government to meaningfully engage and work with young people themselves to address these issues, as has happened in Scotland and New Zealand notably? And in the long term, how will Labour engage and enthuse young people so that voter turnout is higher for 18 and 24-year-olds at future elections?
Well, Daniel, just two things straight away, and thank you for that, is we have to get our children and young people back into sustainable education as soon as we can. I'm really worried about the gap. There's a massive difference in homeschooling for kids that have got, the resources and the space at home and devices, etc., and kids that haven't. And we've got to deal with that. And that goes through to college, by the way, and university as well, because lots of people at college and university are facing a very different few months than the one that they thought they would have. The second thing, Daniel, and this is really important, is I really feel a fear that there are going to be massive job losses just around the corner, and that lots of young people will lose their jobs if they've got them, because they tend to be on shorter-term contracts. They haven't got the security that others have got, and therefore I think we need something the last Labour government did, which was a future jobs fund, which is to make sure that for young people, they're not out of work for more than 6 months. What the last Labour government did was to say, if you're a young person and you've been out of work for 6 months, we will make sure you've got a job at the end of that. So there's an end to the period that you would actually be out of work, so you can begin reskilling again. So a version of that, I think, would be very, very important. I think, Daniel, the other bit of your question was, how do we get young people's voices in that? Well, we work with young people. We can do it in a number of different ways. There are youth mayors, there are youth MPs, there are organisations like My Life, My Say, but also, I think, and this is a longer term objective, I'm a massive fan of votes at 16. I don't think that we can say we want to involve young people in decision making and say, but you can't actually decide who you want to make your decisions till you're 18. I think that we've got to move that down to 16, and the sooner we do that, the better. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. You two looking so smart, I think, oh my gosh, should have put on a shirt this evening. So.
Well, I had to look smart because I'm in Parliament. I've been at PMQs asking questions of Boris Johnson, so I need to look shipshape.
As well as this evening, we're also in partnership with UK Youth. It's amazing to be in partnership with these guys. And so Rena's about to jump on as well. And also, I'd love to know, Rena, your questions. So please take the floor.
Hi, Rena.
Rena, you're on mute.
You're muted.
We need you off mute.
Sorry about that. My name's Rena.
Rena. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good.
That's good. So my question on behalf of myself and UK Youth is, we know many young people struggle to access mental health support they need, even more those who are ethnic minorities. With COVID-19 has exacerbated the mental health crisis among young people. So how as we come out of lockdown, but also prepare for a second wave, can we ensure young people get the mental health support they need as early as possible?
Yeah, Rena, thank you very much for that. This is a really serious question, because coronavirus has exacerbated mental health issues of all different sorts. It's been a particularly tough time for people with mental health issues. And there's a whole range, but loneliness has been a massive problem for people, and we've done quite a lot of support work on loneliness so far. It is particularly acute for young people, and the reality is there just hasn't been the resource in there for young people, and you will know that even to have a mental health assessment if you're a young person takes just far too long. 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to wait for an assessment. It's far too long for anyone, but it's a particularly long time if you're a young person. And that's just got to change. And we've been talking about parity of mental health and physical health for a very, very long time, but we're nowhere near it. And we have to make that a long-term goal. That will only happen with more resource. We don't have enough mental health support staff in the system. That's why you get these long waiting lists, etc. And so, we need to recognise that mental health is much more prevalent than people think. We need to put the resource in, and we need to make sure that we've got genuine parity. And it goes back to something I said earlier, Rena, which is about, I think if these weeks of being under lockdown have done anything, they've, I think, made people reflect on what really matters in life.
Yeah.
I think we need to aim for a much better future with different value. Now, what do we really value? And mental health is something we do really value. And even looking at the economy, traditionally we ask ourselves, if the economy is doing well, it means productivity is high or gross domestic product. Actually, I'm much more interested these days in well-being of the economy. How does it impact not just on people's purse and their economic situation, but on their mental health and their housing situation, etc. I'm seeing things much more in the round.
Amazing.
Thanks, Rena. It's a really, really interesting and very important question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rena. Really, really, yeah, as Keir said, really important question. So not only have we had the partnership of these two, but we also just want to say thank you to everyone over at the National Deaf Children's Society Ambassador. We've got Holly with an amazing question. So hi, Holly.
Hi.
Hi, Holly.
So I'm a deaf student doing my A-levels currently. Due to the current circumstances, myself and other first years have been having to teach ourselves most of the course. Online learning isn't as good as learning in the classroom for any of us, but it's even harder for me since it's almost impossible to lip read during Zoom calls. This limits me a lot as I'm doing languages, so I can't practice listening skills, which is a key area that's tested in the exams. I was wondering, what provisions do you think the government should put in place to ensure that we get the grades we deserve?
Holly, that's such an important question, and the difficulties using a screen must be profound, and my instinct is to say that there needs to be some kind of priority, that some face-to-face teaching is going to be allowed, and face-to-face contact, and we should prioritise those that need it most, particularly if there's a space issue. And it seems to me, therefore, that for deaf people, they ought to be one of the top priorities, so that learning can be done in the way that works best, and to mitigate as best we can for it. Because now, I mean, just hearing you say it, I can completely understand what a different experience, a much more difficult experience it must be. So I think particularly now we're moving into the next stage of easing the lockdown, and it is possible for people to meet more, albeit at distance. I think we need to prioritise then how we do our teaching. Now, obviously, that will vary from college to college, or institution from institution. But we do need to perhaps get behind a campaign to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Thank you, Holly, and thanks for raising that and really making us think about it.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. Thank you so much. I've just seen the time and I cannot believe that we are nearly up. So I would just like to see a wave of people, I hope, just to say thank you to everyone, if people are able to. Oh, I'm not too sure now. If not, no stress. Oh, there we go. Sarah's online. Sorry we didn't get to go through all of the questions, but I just wanted to get your faces because it's really, really important that an evening like this, as Kira said, as so many have said, that loads of young people's voices are part of the conversation. And so, Kira, although we haven't had time, is it possible for us at My Life, My Say to send you some of these questions? Because we really would love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, no, please do, Swarzy. And I have to say, this has been fantastic. It's been the best part of the day so far for me. Far better than spending half an hour up against Boris Johnson. So thank you for doing this. Send in your questions. And please, if you have time, invite me to do it again with you.
Yeah, and before we let you go, we just want to get the poll results as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We held a poll and we were asking young people, what do you think will be the #1 worry for young people to do with COVID-19? And so I believe, hey, there we go. I don't know if everyone can see the results. But in at 21% is the health of family and friends, and closely behind that 20% is the economy. And Keir, you were definitely on the money with this one, 17% saying mental health as well. So there you have some of the worries. And just for you, Keir, for last comments or closing remarks, especially when you say that young people are disproportionately affected by COVID-19, just some of the ways that you think you'll be able to tackle this and hear young voices and continue this conversation. Do you have any last remarks?
Well, Swarzy, yes, please. And I think it is to say to all young people on this call, one of the things that's happened in this pandemic is a sense of solidarity. The whole of the United Kingdom going through something together. We can pull together, and young people in particular, to make the case for a better future. We cannot go back to business as usual after this. We have to go on to something better. And that is something where young people are so important, because in a sense, it's your future more than anybody else's future. And you need to be part of that. This is both a massive challenge and a really, really difficult time, but it's also the chance to say, you know what, we're going to pull together, we're going to change things, and we're going to be part of history and take our chance to make a better world out of what is happening in this pandemic. And I just want to ask all of you to be part of that, because in a sense, that will be one of the most important things you do in your lives, and could change your lives and the lives of all your family and friends and communities for a long, long time to come. So that's what I would say. But it's been really great to be with you. Look forward to the rest of your questions and seeing you again when I can.
Amazing. You make a really good point that no one is ever going to forget 2020, and every voice does matter. You've been watching Quarantine Question Time, hosted by My Life, My Say. My name is Swarzy. Thank you to so many of you who have logged in, locked in. We know that you're behind the screen right now, listening along. Send in your questions. Keir Starmer kindly said he would love to know your questions and love to give a response as well. So send them into My Life, My Say. We'll send them over and get those answers into you as well. Keep this space as well at My Life, My Say is all over the socials. Make sure you keep us up to date with your questions and the conversation. Keir, it's such a joy to have you. Thank you so much again tonight.
Thanks so much. It's been really great to be with you.
Thank you to UK Youth and I Will Campaign, and also National Deaf Children's Society. I've been Swarzy. This is My Life, My Say. Thank you so much and good night.